Waluigi!
I'm a big fan of Crash Bandicoot and went into this excited for another classic. Hopefully there's plenty to come in the future because this franchise deserves it. It's quite faithful to its predecessors while adding creative spins to flesh out the potential of the game. This game's story is richer, but still is stop Cortex at its core. Basically, Cortex and N Tropy escape their prison after the events of Crash Warped and plan to take over every universe. The biggest changes are the new mask powers, stuff about gems, and increased difficulty. Difficulty comes in the form of a larger emphasis on platforming as it requires much more precision and quickness, and the goal of collection is huge. The developers made an obvious effort to explore all the ways to use the many different mechanics at their disposal. They were really able to run wild with the bonus sections and flashback tapes where the biggest challenges lie. I'll talk about the tapes in a few minutes. The problem I have with bonus sections is that they often require multiple tries just to figure out what the heck is going on. They were created in a way so that you could easily mess up and either not be able to complete the area, or boxes could be unobtainable. You can attempt these sections as much as you want without increasing your death count, but sometimes they were more obnoxious than they were a fun challenge. Gems are now obtained by collecting Wumpa Fruit, breaking boxes, having a low death count, and there's a hidden gem in each level. Realistically, the gems awarded for collecting Wumpa Fruit is redundant as it goes hand in hand with box breaking. Gems award costumes and work towards a secret ending that isn't worth your time. Collection in this game is just not rewarding enough. Levels are long and difficult with a couple hundred boxes each. Too often boxes are hidden off camera and sections don't allow you to backtrack, making it feel like a tedious chore trying to finish the levels over and over again. Crash Bandicoot without reasonable incentive to break boxes is just basic platforming, getting from point A to point B. Unless you enjoy putting yourself through misery, then more power to you. The 4 colored gems are hidden in unknown levels, and 2 of them require completing a puzzle. They're hard to find when you don't know where to look, and sometimes you have to be observant enough to find the hint on a wall. Good thing we have the internet. Then there's inverted levels, which are mirrored versions of what you've already experienced, but with a different art style or filter. It's another set of gems to collect playing this way, but gameplay doesn't change at all. Except for the water levels, they're slightly different. It's a lot of replayability without purpose, but at least they're fun to look at. The one decent thing about collecting anything in this game are the flashback tapes. If you reach a certain point in a level without dying, you unlock a new level. These levels revolve around crates and are more difficult than the mandatory levels. They're tedious for the first few tapes, waiting for Crash to bounce so many boxes, but become more engaging soon enough. These tapes show a bit of insight leading up to the very beginning of the original Crash Bandicoot. Cortex is running experiments on Crash and Coco, testing their abilities while adding quite a bit of humor into the mix. Bosses are creative, engaging, and are just as difficult as the other levels. Each boss incorporates a mask ability, and attacks may be color coordinated, which is great because these fights are fast paced. While I'm on the subject of clarity, there's effort to make the game clear but still fails at times. There's a lack of depth perception I don't think I've felt in other games before. Sometimes I couldn't tell how far away boxes are or if there's a gap in between platforms. The indicator helps, so I'm happy the developers thought to add that in. Where you obtain a mask's power is in your face, but in the heat of the moment you may not know when you lost it. Some hazards blend in too. One of the most notable ones are the flame spitting contraptions that I assumed was decoration until it was too late. There's a new multiplayer mode where up to 4 players take turns speedrunning levels or breaking crates for a high score. Not too exciting, but a welcome addition. Most of the time the control you have is precise, just like it needs to be for a fast-paced platformer. By most of the time, I mean like 60% of the time. Basic Crash and Coco movements plus mask abilities are great, but aiming Tawna's hookshot, Tingo's vacuum, Cortex's gun, that's not easy. Running on walls feels clunky. Rail grinding is a pain with the combination of not being able to see hazards or boxes soon enough and the long amount of time it takes to switch positions. And this section is an abomination. The platforms move faster towards you when you jump, and you're forced to stay in one spot relative to the screen. This inconsistency made for a terrible experience. There's several bugs that occurred to me even in just the hour I spent getting extra footage for this video. Things like jumping off nitro or flame crates without harm, Luis's tentacles or minions left over after death, and getting hurt in situations that should be impossible. None of it is game breaking, but it does make the game feel cheap. This is an ambitious creation, too much for its own good in certain aspects. It does feel like a proper Crash Bandicoot game to follow up Warped, as it holds onto core gameplay, remains faithful to characters, and improves upon much of the original games. On the other hand, the feel of control needs to be polished, the road to completion is an atrocity, and levels need to be shortened or be more forgiving. Difficulty isn't necessarily a bad thing. People love Dark Souls even though it makes you want to put 7 holes in the wall. But this game forces memorization and feels like it's trying to trick you, it has some clarity issues, and finishing the level with all boxes is more of a relief than a feel-good accomplishment. Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time deserves a 7 out of 10 rating. I think I would have enjoyed myself less if I wasn't already a Crash fan, as there's a lot of little things to enjoy about this game. The bosses speaking to you in levels, seeing beloved characters more expressive than ever before, and the plain fact that it's just another Crash game to play even if it's not the best. My enjoyment was a 6 out of 10. The biggest downer for me is how collecting gems is handled, and it isn't fun to do. I enjoyed playing through the levels, but completing the game is nowhere near worth my time. Did you have more fun with this game than I did? Tell me what you thought in the comments.